evening, everyone, and happy St. Patrick's Day. We are not an Irish band, but we are going to play some Irish music for you. On Christmas Eve, we got an odd gig to go to a non-denominational celebration at a church, and under no circumstances were we to play Christmas music. And so the person putting it on said, what can you play? And we listed everything we could play, and they said, well, we'd love to hear some Celtic Irish themed music, which we didn't understand why that was for Christmas Eve, but we went and we played and we had a great time doing so. And so here we are back. We are from a variety of bands, a variety of orchestras, a variety of traditions. We're not in a traditional Irish band. That's about the only thing we're not in. So we're going to do our best to play some Irish music. And I'll tell you why a little bit more where we got our inspiration from this. But let's get going. Here's one of my personal favorites, Drowsy Maggie. Irish beer that is your best, and it was Wexford. Now, the three of us were in Ireland a couple years back, right? And we played in Wexford at the Wexford Arts Centre, and everything went very well after the fire. We had to bring our own sound system, which is a weird thing, and we planned for all the different voltages and amperages and everything, but when we plugged it into the stage lighting backstage, which ran at a much higher voltage. So an actual fire ensued. There was smoke, there was a fire extinguisher, there was running outside, but after that we got everything worked out. Now, as not experts on Irish music, of course we need to read off sheet music, that's what's going on over here, but also everyone's favorite request, I guess, would be Danny Boy.
For sure.
All right. A hornpipe. The red-haired boy. Okay, now the next one up is an interesting one. And me, Rebecca, and Colin, one of our other bandmates, were playing at some pretty cool shows all over Ireland. We also played some pretty not cool shows all over Ireland. And when we did the pretty not cool shows all over Ireland, one of those places we would play is every tiny little pub you can imagine. Literally from some of the southernmost points of Ireland all the way till we're in Northern Ireland, a separate country, and we're playing right on the ocean looking out towards whatever's above Ireland, the Faroe Islands perhaps, or no. And so as we traveled through there seemed to be a playlist for every single pub, public location, and anything else you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And Colin, what were we hearing everywhere?
The Girl of Belfast City is what we called it at the time.
And I think we also just called I'll Tell My Ma or Tell Me Ma or something like that. But this was a universally popular song there, and we thought we'd take a minute and do our interpretation of it. And Rebecca's going to grab her fiddle for that. Let me make sure this microphone is working. Yep. All right.
She is pretty, she is well of Belfast City. She is girl 1, 2, 3. Please won't you tell me who is she? Albert Mooney says he loves her. All the boys are fighting for her. Knocking the door, the ring and the bell say, my true love, are you well? Here she comes with white as snow, rings on her fingers, bells on her toes. Here she comes with white as snow. Here comes Albert Mooney. I tell my ma when I go home, the boys will leave the girls alone. They pull my hair and stole my comb. That's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is well in Belfast City. She is girl 1, 2, 3. Please won't you tell me who is she? I tell
Now, Ireland, the first time Rebecca and I went to Ireland, we weren't performing there. We went to study the music there. And Ireland, there's always music somewhere. There's always music to bizarrely late periods of time at night. The small town of Cork, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that place.
1 o'clock in the morning, everybody is enjoying their Wexford brand beer. And a woman licked Rebecca's cello during the concert.
Do you remember that?
Vividly.
Yes. And that's just where things started. We'll tell you what happened in the castle before another song. But one of the most famous people to come out of Ireland musically for instrumental music is Turlough O'Carolan. I'm sorry if I'm saying that first name wrong. And during the late 1500s, early 1600s, he was a blind harpist. He lost his sight from smallpox, and they gave him a harp, trained him in the harp, and they gave him a horse and a guide. The guide had to walk on foot. And he became famous for going from homestead to castle to manor, back and forth, and when he arrived, he would stay there for a week or two, and they would feed him and put him up, and in return, he would write a song for that family or for his host. One of his most famous ones, we're not going to play this one, it's called Fanny Power, name somebody, and this one is called Colonel John Irwin, and it's one of his slow airs, and it was originally sung in the traditional Irish language, but we're going to do a slow instrumental version. Okay, now we're going to do a more traditional Irish approach to some things. And rarely we discover, as we wandered from pub to pub listening to everything, our songs played in isolation. Often they are, of course, a community event, but more than that, they're often played as medleys. So we grabbed two well-known songs, two and a half, I guess you would say, The Star of County Down and The Foggy Dew, the non-political version of Foggy Dew, and The Star of County Down in the other time signature. We're going to do our big medley, and then after that I'm going to tell you about one more that we're going to play from our journey there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
so green, a beauty to my eyes. Says I, dear girl, will you be my bride? And she lifted her eyes of blue. She smiled and said, young man, I'm to wed. I'm to meet him in the foggy dew. A singing nightingale met the lovely maid with her coal black hair, and she answered soft and low. Says she, young man, I'll be your bride if I know that you'll be true. Oh, in my arms our love is charms, we're cast in the foggy dew. Town in the county down one morning in July. Down a Bowring Green came a sweet Colleen, and she smiled as she passed me by. She looked so sweet from her two bare feet to the sheen of her nut brown hair. Such a coaxing, now sure I shook myself, for to see I was really there. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. At the harvest fair she'll be surely there, so I'll dress in my Sunday clothes, and I'll try sheep eyes and deluded lies on the heart of the nut brown rose. No pipe I'll smoke, no horse I'll yoke, though the rush of my plow turn brown, till the smiling bride by my fireside sees the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down, that I met in the county down, that I met in the county down.
All right, now we're going to go to some pre-recorded material to wrap things up. And this is from our last journey to Ireland. We found ourselves outside of Galway, and we were playing a concert at Pete's Castle. It's called Pete's Castle because Pete and his son live there. And this was not a castle as you would imagine it. This was a real castle, an Irish round tower. Every floor was one room, and the bathroom was a long distance away from the floors we were staying on, and the shower and bathtub were built into the floor. Remember that?
That was kind of cool.
Now, when we arrived there, Pete said to us, you know, a lot of people are coming tonight. My castle won't do, so we're going to the neighbor's castle. So we went to the neighbor's castle, which is a weird thing to say, to go to your neighbor's castle. And this was a legitimate giant manor house slash castle. It had recently been featured on a show called Irish Hoarders. That's not a joke, you can actually look it up. And the man who lived there had begun renovating it sometime in the mid-'80s or something like that. And along the way, had collected everything he could imagine, from beautiful historical paintings, well-used taxidermy, a mound of ties in the corner next to the phone booth that was not plugged in. And we had a giant party there. People showed up gradually. Some were sleeping out in camper vans. It became quite an event. And as long as we were there, we filmed a little bit. So we're going to play that video for you now. Thank you. We are parts of various bands and orchestras. Tammie, Colin, Jason, Rebecca, and thank you for sharing your St. Patrick's Day with us.